Hello everyone and welcome to our latest RuneScape weekly live stream. Nice to be back, and joining us today are a whole motley crew of people who worked on this incredible Nodon Front update. Yes, it's out today. We know you've been waiting so long for your first taste of the Elder God Wars dungeon, and I know a lot of us are really excited to have this here and to be able to show it to you and see you all playing it. I haven't got to play it all day. I've been waiting for this stream just to get my hands on it finally, so I'm really excited too. Joining us today in this crew of folks, we've got a whole host of people, and I'll start first by introducing a brand new JMod to our live streams and someone who worked and was a core part of the making of the Nodon Front. It's Mod Luma, everybody. Luma, do you want to tell people quickly a little bit about what you do here at Jagex?
Sorry, my camera's off. So yeah, I'm a junior content developer. I'm working on the episodic team, so we kind of work on quests, bosses, Slayer, as I've worked on this update, mini games, all that kind of jazz. I've been working with Ramen as joint devs for Nodon Front.
Awesome. And yeah, speak of the devil, of course, we have returning from the video extraordinaire of last Friday. It's Mod Ramen. You're right, Mod Ramen.
Hello, how's it going? Yeah, I mean, I am a senior content developer, and we kicked off with the Nodon Front for the epic Elder God Wars saga. Super excited, and really awesome to see everyone getting stuck in. Yeah, that's me.
How much work have you managed to fit in around watching all the streams today?
Had to do couple tweaks and couple fixes, but yeah, like it's super cool to see. People get their hands on the first staff, people get their first hard mode solos. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. And also joining us, who I know is the one of our lore masterminds here at Jagex, and was in a critical part of our Elder God Wars dungeon story. It's Mod Jack. Hey, Mod Jack.
Hi there.
How are you feeling as well, seeing this tale that you've been building to for God knows how long now finally unfold?
It's a relief. It's good. Although this is more a PVM update than a lore update, but we've been getting the lore has been getting us here, so it's exciting to see everything, pieced together and everything coming together.
Awesome. And then finally, but certainly not least, we have Mod Spear here, hanging out to help ask some questions and just generally be a bit of a speary presence on stream.
I did not work on this. I'm not a dev, but I'm just here to make pretty camera shots, which these guys have made really easy for me by making this place look incredible. So, I'm pretty happy.
Awesome. So we'll go right into it. So what we wanted this stream to be is there may be some of you out there who haven't had a chance to jump on yet. Obviously, we want to show you the content, talk you through it. We'll ask some questions about some questions from you, from the chat, but we'll also kind of ask some questions about the making of it and give you a bit of insight there. So I'll be playing the Slayer content, and then I'll be taking on Kerapac for the first time live, which will hopefully also be amusing when I get beaten up. But first, I wanted to start because there's more to the Nodon Front than just kind of that general dungeon experience, because there's actually been a lot of narrative even building up to it, and even as part of this, obviously it opens even with a cinematic when you come to Senntisten. Jack, do you want to just say a little bit about, just what it went into creating this kind of traditional PVM content with a bit more of a story take, and kind of how you brought story into it without it kind of almost getting in the way?
Yeah, I mean the content that we're producing, obviously I think the content's great, but in terms of the type of content that it is, it's RuneScape content as we've produced in the past. But generally in the past, what we haven't done is if we release a quest and a skilling activity and a boss within a few months of each other, they tend not to have anything to do with each other. They'll be in different parts of the world, or they'll just have bespoke lore that was created for that content. And so the idea of what we're doing differently this year is just to produce the same content, same amount of work, same amount of dev involvement, but just tie them together to be the same story. So what we get is, the text that was just in a quest is now text that's in a quest. Hopefully what you've got is a good self-contained quest that tells a satisfying story, but also leads on to the next piece of content. And you could see us sort of experimenting with that last year with Raksha and Anachronia, where there are ties, but the ties are kind of loose, and then we're getting, we're ramping up to it even more here. But I mean, for me, this is still very much like a trial run of doing this, because we haven't really done this before. So I'm hoping, obviously, that it goes really well, but also we're learning a lot about how we make content in this way and how we tie the story together. So I'm expecting it to be even better next year.
Awesome. Yeah, and I know obviously even hanging out in the cathedral, one of the first things I noticed is the gods are actually having conversations, which I didn't even know was coming with this, right? So is it almost like telling an ambient story around you that you kind of opt into? Is that kind of the approach you've been taking?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when we realized where the gods were going to be, it was quite exciting, because actually a lot of these guys, I mean, they've all interacted before, obviously, in situations like Endgame and This Interesting Death, but they haven't ever really been forced to like stand. I think of it as like they're forced to stand in an elevator, like they're all just forced to stand next to each other, and they've got nothing else to do but make conversation. So they're just chit chatting. This is not the conversation this week is not the end of the conversation. It's going to carry on in the future, and you'll see them, expressing more opinions and disagreements over time.
Awesome. And yeah, and I think a lot of people were taken by surprise by this. I think maybe I was wrong, but I kind of got this impression from seeing community conversation is just how much of the environmental storytelling that's going on in here as well, right? Like we've got the God Wars dungeon generals getting involved in the defense. Obviously, there's a mechanic with that we'll go into in a sec. This is a big part of the story, right? It's giving that feeling of these are fronts. This is a defense of ultimately the most important place on all of Gielinor right now. Is like, was that something that was thought of very early on, or was it opportunistic? Like, was this something we had in mind from the very start?
Yeah, this is crucial to the. I mean, I'm sure Luma can talk a bit more about the setting up of the environment, and obviously our environment artist was a huge amount of work on making this happen. But yeah, that was the key vision of what we could do once we were discussing. Telling a story across multiple updates, especially the dungeon updates, which form the core of it, then showing the war in progress is something that we have the opportunity to do that we've never really been able to do before. So yeah, it's pretty it's not a quest, so it's not like an intense like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of lines of dialogue, but just we can see the battle in progress, we can see who the enemy are, we can see who the defenders are. We can show the progress that the war is taking over time. It's quite exciting.
And Luma, obviously, Jack, what you were just saying, Luma, you were involved in kind of making those moments. Was that something that was really cool to bring to life? Like, how did you go about doing all that?
As in just the city in general, or the Slayer specifically?
Oh, the specifically with the little moments between, for example, when Nex jumps down from here and has her little confrontation. Zilyana does it as well, I know. What was it like to kind of bring those to life and work on all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it's really cool getting to use these like beloved characters and bringing them into pieces of new content. Kind of Carl worked a lot on them as well. You can talk to all of Nex's mages, which I don't think you've been able to do before, but people have really enjoyed that as well. So it's just we wanted to bring a lot of life to the area and make it feel like you're actually on the battlefield and you're not just roaming an empty city.
And obviously on top of that, and I know we're about to go into the Slayer area now, but before I do, you introduced these new mechanics with the bosses actually providing buffs. Do you want to walk us through that?
I can pick that up.
Yeah, sure.
Sort of to touch on your previous point about adding narrative to the surrounding environment, something that I like to say and something that Luma, myself, and Jack sort of took into the design, and something we sort of hammered in is the world is like a game's best character, right? If you can't just take something and then plop it in like a fairy environment, it might not work. So the world is the greatest character, and that all goes together to sort of making a place feel alive. And like this is where we have these awesome characters like you see here, the Prey Soul. Players have never really been able to interact with them before. They've met them a couple of times, back in 2011 when the original Nex came out, and then we saw them again, sort of expanded on their story a little bit with 2017's Angel of Death fight, but they've never had a voice. and it's important for us to be able to sort of expand on stories. Like Mod Jack added some lines of dialogue for Ziliana that sort of wraps up their thoughts and feelings surrounding, the God Wars, and that came out in 2007. So it's still stories we're able to expand upon, bring to a close, sort of. How do the Prey Soul feel about being trapped by Ziliana, Krill, and all the other generals? So you get to expand on that, and then, why not bring a taste of their... What am I going to say there? Let me think. A taste of their flavor, right, into the actual content themselves. So you can talk to each of these, and depending on your playstyle, you might opt for, maybe you'll take a lot of damage from the Slayer creatures, or maybe you want a faster task, so you might opt for Krill's mass hit, or you might opt for Ziliana's little shield. Just adds a little bit of life and interesting thought to how you want to go about this content. Especially with Slayer, and you can just release a mob, right? And players will reduce its life point to 0, and that will take down their Slayer target. We've been doing that since the day Slayer has come out, and it's nice to continuously try new things, implement new mechanics, and with the use of the introduction of the extra action button, 2018, you can see how we've sort of started to roll it into new pieces of content. So that's where a lot of that came from.
Awesome. Should we? Which buff should I take? Your choice, Ramen. Just remember, I need to get rid of it.
I like Nexus. Nexus is cool. Blood Siphon. Can't really go wrong with. Blood probably flew me. I don't know what her line is.
That's my extra action button. So yeah, Siphon life directly from target's heal itself. So my most dreaded mechanic when I fight her.
This is kind of the top end. They're all balanced to be, the cooldown of the really good ones is the longer one, but the cooldown of just the shield or that little extra bit of damage is far shorter. So this one's obviously the top end. It's cool. You're literally doing damage whilst also healing, so we take it off you for a longer time. Can't be too strong.
Stuff. Okay, Luma. Well, we're about to enter the Slayer experience. This is my first time getting to actually fight the Nodon Dragonkin. Do you want to just do a little introduction about the kind of need-to-knows of what's part of these new Slayer mobs and kind of the Slayer experience within the Nodon Front?
Okay, the need-to-knows. There's 5 new creatures. There's one for melee, which is... I need to get used to the camera. There's one for melee, which is Nodon Guard. One for mage. Mage one, which is Artificers. And rangers, which are called Hunters. Then we also have engineers, who's the guy who'll be patrolling around the center, and the cannons, which you can see around. Let's go from here. Yeah, 5 new guys. Engineers are really strong. There's an elite mob as well, some of you may have already seen. An enforcer can sometimes spawn when you kill an engineer. Yeah. That's it, and yeah, there's a couple of abandoned cannons you can interact with as well for some unique.
I know everyone was pretty hyped. I know everyone was pretty hyped about the new Dragonkin bones as well. New bones are exciting only to RuneScape fans. Can you imagine out of context saying that to anyone else as being an exciting thing? Yeah. It's a strange RuneScape thing, but yeah. So for sure. Yeah, sorry about the mic feedback, by the way. We've done our best to eliminate it before it, but we're just rolling with it. But so you were talking about the new mobs, and obviously a big part of that is the siege engines which you can attack. So what is going on there with the siege engines? If someone didn't catch our introduction to the Nodon Front, what's the whole thing with the siege engines? What can I do?
Yeah, so the Nodon are using the siege engines to attack the cathedral. So you can just stop them. You can attack them, destroy the siege engines, be able to stop them from attacking the cathedral. And you can also find abandoned siege engines around the area, which you can use to attack the Nodon back themselves.
Right, like there, right? I'm taking a hell of a... These Nodon hit hard.
Yeah, they do hit hard.
I should probably be using protection spells is what I'm learning, not soul split. Too scrubby. Too scrubby.
Damage output is not enough to leech that back.
No, it is not. Absolutely not. So obviously, yeah, I got some siege engine parts here. So how many do I need to do a repair out of interest?
You need 30 to repair.
Okay, cool. So
I believe-
30 was repair, so I'll try and get it.
And say if you once you've killed this one, you can maybe try sabotaging that one. I think you need 25.
other Okay, 25.
Yeah.
And other
you
than
have-
being
you have to
super
look at that.
awesome,
Double check.
by the way, is that what's the big benefit of using the cannon? Like, what would you say is the like main gameplay reason behind using it?
Well, I really wanted to give people a choice when doing a Slayer task. It's not just completely your typical, go hit mob dies, repeat until you finish your task. I really wanted to feel a bit more interactive, and the siege cannons was kind of a perfect opportunity for this.
Yeah.
So it's really fun, and it gives people the choice of, if you want to stack up your parts and then go and just cannon through a whole task, you can do that if you want. So yeah, just a choice, and give players more choice, give more interaction, and more fun.
It is super cool. I'm honestly like, it's one of the things that kind of surprised me. I remember when I was seeing that is that the mobs themselves, we've got so many of them, and then obviously having the siege engines on top of that is really cool. And obviously they've dropped us a couple of things here. There's a resident anima of Jas and an elder trove. Do you want to run us through what those are, either Ramen or Luma?
Do you want to take this, Luma?
You can take it. You can
Okay, cool.
take this one. Yeah.
So, something we wanted to do with the when you completed the As an Address quest, you got this Pontifex ring, right? And then you completed the City at Senntisten quest. Is it City at Senntisten, Jack? The recent.
Yeah.
I'm bad at questions.
Yeah, City of
If it's not
Senntisten.
Violet. If it hasn't got Violet in it, I don't know what it's called.
That one was the working title. You got no excuse for that.
Yeah, City of Senntisten. So you upgraded it there, and like something we wanted to do as an overall design is, especially considering how we're offering this saga essentially. Elder God is a saga, so we've kicked off with the opening quests, and then we had the awesome mini quests, and then we kicked off with the Nodon Front. Now, something we wanted to do is wanted to give you that power and that feeling as you progress and sort of consume the pieces of content. You can get better and better rewards down the line. So the way we decided to do this was introducing the ring. Now, obviously, Mod Rowley, when the Shadow Pontifex ring first upgraded, he was like, you're going to want to make sure you sort of keep this around. Now, as you go on, we needed a way to sort of add a secondary drop table. Yeah, you're a noob, really bad.
I was just listening to you, and then I was just like, wait, why am I taking so much damage?
It's difficult to watch. But yeah, so like basically once every 5 minutes, you're able to roll and obtain a trove dependent on your ring. And also we wanted this ring to have an effect with each of the fronts. So if you fully charge with 1,000 resonant anima, then you're able to not get stunned when Kerapac's using his jumping slam attack. So just like introducing what would you call it? You're good with your design words. A sort of side upgrade that is then beneficial for you to potentially consider using in the fight or in the dungeon. And it's also very beginner friendly. The jumping slam attack, for some can be quite difficult to nail down. Yes, you'll sacrifice it if you're wearing the ring, hard camping the ring. You're sacrificing a little bit of stats or maybe a special effect on the ring. But then slowly, as you're learning and you realize, okay, I no longer need the ring, I can do it, and then you can go back to what you were originally using. Mm-hmm. And from the troves, that's one of the main way we're going to be introducing the page. The page is the manuscript to charge up the. It's called I call it bottom feeding. So essentially, you're able to get rewards from Slayer creatures that then feed into the main rewards from the boss, right? And that way you sort of create this internal economy. Both play up really nicely. But yeah, like a lot of the design came from Mod Timbo, so he wrote up an awesome design, and it was good enough to just sit there for a week and implement, which is cool.
So I got my first engineer now, which is like pretty exciting. I somehow managed to destroy him, which I'm pretty happy about, but I'll take it. all the cannonballs. And then obviously we've talked about a lot of the drops. I don't think, unless in me concentrating on the fact I was using the wrong prayer protection, I missed it. We also have obviously upgrades for the Dwarven Cannon and the variants of the Dwarven Cannon, including a new look, right, from these guys?
Yes, correct. There's 3 new upgrade kits. We've got 1 upgrade kit for your Oldak Coil, 1 for your Connected Cyclone, and 1 for your range cannons. So once you've upgraded them, once you've used the upgrade kit, it will unlock a damage boost for that type of cannon, and in the range's case, it will unlock a new cosmetic skin, so the Dwarf Siege Engine skin for it, which looks really cool. I will say, the magic, I'll just give more specifics, the magic and melee ones get a 50% damage upgrade, and the range cannon gets a 100% damage upgrade.
Gotcha. So that drops some stuff. Any questions from chat on the Slayer experience or anything else we need to cover on this? Like, Jack, is there anything you want to say from a story or lore perspective about this area and the fact, obviously, the Nodon being here is a pretty big deal in itself, but anything you want to touch on here that we haven't talked about yet from a lore perspective?
I mean, Luma put some lore in game, which I don't want to spoil if you haven't found it yet. But there is some, there's a bit more of an explanation about what's actually going on here. Everything isn't as it seems with the Nodon, and I encourage you to find that in game.
Got some first questions coming in here, by the way. There's some reports of players saying they can't reclaim rings from Azanadra if you destroyed the ring and had to remake it again. Is that intentional? You have to remake it again.
Definitely not intentional. I've got a bug assigned to me that I will be taking a look tomorrow morning to allow you to reclaim as it is. You don't want to go through the friction of having to remake that every time you lose it. So, yeah, we'll do something about it. A little bit of an oversight on our end. Apologies for the inconvenience.
We're being challenged to do some duo hard mode, by the way.
We will not succeed.
I think not. We haven't got a chance to do that yet. So, question: what is the shard for that we got from the Battle of the Monolith? You may see I have it equipped here.
Put it on, and you should. I mean, not you. Whoever asked the question.
Oh.
Yeah. Whoever asked the question. Like, it does something.
Yeah, it might be helpful if you equip it and go to the Nodon Front.
Yeah, it's like the Zarath shard in like the old God Wars dungeons.
And yeah, there's a reason I'm stood here dancing and not getting killed.
There's a question here. Is there any use for the resident anima of Jas after upgrading the ring?
Yeah, so once you've fully upgraded the ring, rather than get untradeable variants, it will start dropping tradable variants, so you can then pump them into the Grand Exchange and the economy. For the players like me, I can't be bothered to gain 1,000. I just want my ring upgraded, boom, whack 1,000 in, and I'm off. So, and there are many players out there who sort of, just are able to buy, put a mass up front. So, rather than make something sort of redundant, we make it tradable, and then it sort of feeds into, you can make a little bit of money from it. So.
Awesome. I'm just trying to get enough artificer. What does the manuscript of Jas do? So that's the Jas God book, so to speak, right?
It is, yeah. So the manuscript of Jas, it has a special ability, and forgive me because I've changed the name 100 times, so if I'm wrong here, it's an ability called Time Dilate. So what happens when it procs is it gives you a damage window of 10 seconds, right? So all damage you do within that 10 seconds is added up. And then once that 10-second window is done, what it will do is it will take that number, take 20%, and then apply that as a hit to your target. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's something that I'm going to be chasing for sure as well. Are we, just as a heads up for everyone, just to drop it in the stream on a slightly related note, you may have seen that we said we were coming to Steam today and it was a little behind schedule. Can confirm, on Mac, sorry, I can confirm that we are now out on a Mac on Steam as well. So if you're a Mac player out there and you've been waiting for it to play on Steam, we literally just made that come to life. So go check it out if that's your preferred way to play. There's some questions about have we done any hotfixes today around the boss or anything to change the difficulty or anything like that?
Yeah, so you may have noticed, whether you watch a couple of streamers or you browse Reddit or you browse Twitter, there was a sort of, I don't know, it's like a cheese, right, where players were able to just sort of stand underneath Kerapac's jumping slam attack, and essentially just tank that continuously. We've made a slight tweak to that about an hour ago or half an hour ago to just lessen that. You don't want really players cheesing in that way. So we've made a small edit to that. The damage increases the longer you stand under, and you then do also reduce damage if you're pinned. But nothing else has changed around that. And a couple sort of higgledy-piggledy hot fixes that just sort of fix up some small under-the-hood issues that players won't necessarily notice. We have access to sort of everything back end, so we can see when a player sort of fires off a script error, so we're able to sort of read that and get that out. And then there was an unfortunate error with I didn't add the boss config to an Iron Man whitelist, which meant that you had to get the drop, you had to do 50% of the damage, which is a sort of a rule in the deep combat system and drop loot stuff. And unfortunately, there was an oversight there, but we got that hot fixed pretty quickly.
Cool.
Apologies.
Whilst we're on the subject of the boss, which we're going to be playing shortly, I saw a question asking, as a developer, how are you feeling about, you've seen some people play day one. Obviously, day one is always a very different kind of new experience for players kind of taking on a new boss. How are you currently feeling about the difficulty of the boss based on kind of your personal expectations? Do you feel like it's kind of, people are kind of taking it on as you expected? What's your current kind of feelings?
So,
and not anything indicative, by the way, of change. Just literally personal reaction.
Yeah, no. I mean, the boss.
Just to be clear for the audience.
the bosses, hit the mark, right? The way we marketed and the way we spoke about this is a step up from God Wars Dungeon 2, right? We weren't setting out to make the next Sarlacc or AOD. We weren't setting out to make anything like this mega mechanically complex. Like when you think about a spiritual successor to God Wars Dungeon 2, right? You then have to look at, okay, what are the life point pools that those original bosses had? What are the mechanics that they sort of introduced, and how do we sort of step that up a little bit? Then you've also got the other side of we're not aiming this at the top 5%, 1% of players, right? You've got your Eva Lucarios, the RS guy, Couchy, all these incredibly talented players who know how to utilize the combat system. It's aimed for a wider audience, right? And they're loving it. We've made sure that the streamers we're popping into aren't always just the top end. We're making sure to listen to the crowd we've aimed for. But then specifically the warp time design, when we released Raksha in December, there was this awesome thing where players were doing speed kills, and we got to watch them use their abilities perfectly to shave off 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds off their kill times. Now that inspired the design behind warp time, like giving the players, and this is like more the top end players, and it's also a really nice catch up mechanic for players who a player might go into Kerapac normal mode and take 8 minutes to do a kill, right? And then they slowly get methodic about it, and then they'll start to sort of, okay, maybe I'll use time warp here, and I start to get my dark bow essence finality off. It allows them to really like tweak min-max and master the abilities and the tool set they've given. But then you look at the top end with like players like Omid, Eva Lucario, Couchy. I realize I'm really gassing them up here. But, they are going to figure out the optimal way to use warp time to get the fastest kills, which is awesome. Yeah. And it's awesome to see that sort of theory crafting. The way they're doing it now might not be the way they're doing it in a week. In terms of if I expected it to perform at the level it is, like, I'll be honest, like, boss releases are pretty nerve-wracking. You never know whether it's going to be received well. And obviously we as devs, we're really passionate, we're really proud, and we can often take things very personally. I'm super, super excited and happy to see the reaction. the expected happened. You know, Evil Lucario went in and just rolled his face over the keyboard and did hard mode in one go, right? But that's expected. Like, we as developers, when we're making a piece of content like this, we need to sit there and sort of remind ourselves we're not making it's not necessarily for them. Like, we know that they're gonna absolutely stomp it, and you know, we hit the mark with this, and it's super excited to see the range of players that are you know, able to access this.
Yeah, and like you said, it's also like by adding the depth, you've given that optimization, right? So that is the way they can kind of get their outlet with while serving their audience, which is really cool. I'm personally really excited about it as well, and I know I went crazy when I first saw the time mechanic. There's been lots of love in the chat for the time mechanic, by the way. Plenty of people loving what you've done there, so that's super cool. I'm actually finally about to command this. Take command of the siege engine for the first time, which I'm pretty stoked about. I'm gonna have to find out who I'm gonna attack. But so, I mean, this thing does 30,000 damage a shot. Like, yes, I will use this. Thank you very much. How many shots do I get with this? Okay, yeah. So it's all about.
Yeah, I think it's
how many...
10 parts. Either 10 or 15 parts a shot. So yeah, you need 30 for the initial repair, and then
that's really
a bit less
cool
for each shot you take. But yeah, it's insta kill for most of them. So.
And just to confirm, in terms of the drop chances for the cannon pieces, on task you have a higher chance of that, right? But the cannons don't come into it. There's no better chance with the cannon versus a guard versus an artificer or anything like that, right? It's just a mob chance, correct?
Yes, you get a higher chance of spawning the elite mob from the engineer, and the elite
Right.
mob has a much higher drop rate from it. So that's the benefit you get from on task.
Oh, cool. Really cool. Right, I think at that point, is it time for us to go take on Kerapac? I think it might be. Is there anything else, Luma, you'd like to talk about, or Ramen, about the Slayer mobs before we do? Or just the Nodon Front experience in general?
I mean, I wanna gas up Molly Modluma a little bit, because, like, as we were saying earlier, you know, it's so easy to just make a Slayer mob, right, and just plonk it down, and players will whittle it down to 0. But Molly came at this with such a creative mindset, and it was initially a challenge for us to sort of, okay, how are we going to make these cannons work, right? How are they going to interact with the environment? But when she first got the prototype up and running, and we all jumped into the test world, it was like, holy shit, like, this is fun. But obviously we had unlimited shots, right? So you could only fire a 3, but we're sitting there going, bam, 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 insta killing like everything in our sight. It was just like, it was awesome, and that was the twist and the freshness that Slayer needed. And you know, when I'm doing this task, I'm probably going to stack up all my siege engine parts, and then sort of down the line, when I've got a Slayer task, I'll just take out my anger on them. I'll be like, yeah, come at me, Dragon.
That's a really good idea, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, like awesome creativity from Luma. Amazing addition to the team. So.
Shout out there, Luma. You're gassing everybody today, Ramen. You're like the hype man of the stream.
I'm gassed up.
You better do this for Kerapac fight. I'm gonna need it. Right, I'm gonna kill one more engineer, and then we're gonna get in.
Imagine you get the drop.
Spear, have you been had a chance to play any of this as yet?
I have
You're
done
playing
5
today?
kills over lunch, yeah, that's about it.
Oh, so you've done some Kerapac kills already?
Yeah, just on normal mode. This is before the fix for the slam, though, so now I'm going to have to actually get better at dodging that. I was trying, but I would always miss, like, the 3rd one.
Were you cheesing, Spear?
Not
You
intentionally.
cheeser. You cheese. Look at that, cheeser. He's been caught.
This could be very interesting for me, I think, to take on Kerapac for the first time. We'll see how it is as well. I'm just trying to think, is there any other questions around Nodon Slayer experience before we go? I'm just going to tally out and get some stuff up. I do have a Reaper task for Kerapac as well, which is good. I wish I had these dragonkin on Slayer right now. It'd be good. But I don't. Rami, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I mean, it was more a question for Luma, like, of the development on a lot of the Slayer stuff. Like, what was your favorite part to do? Like, I think it's interesting for the watchers to sort of hear the dev insight, you know.
The most interesting part was definitely the cannons, just because it is something new that we haven't really done before. Like, there's not many interactions with RuneScape where click and point in a different sense that you're commanding something else. So that was really interesting to do from a technical perspective. From a narrative perspective, I did get to make my own character. Some of you may have met her around Senntisten. But I wrote my own character, so that was really fun to do some writing as well. And get a character in the game, a lady dragonkin. So that was cool.
It's very
Yeah,
cool.
I mean, as a dev, like I would definitely, agree with sort of what Molly said there. Like, making your own character is a special thing. Like, you've got characters like Marithel, Molly's Naressa, and you can really see that a lot of developers sort of put them, not themselves into it, but like very representative. Is their own creation, and it's something that you have a weird special connection to. It's awesome.
One more thing as well, Rowena achievement. Some players may have seen, you can find a little ghostly girl around Senntisten. Kind of hard to find. That was fun, just because it's hard to do. Sent it off to QA, they sent it back like, no, can't find her, please can you put some debugging. So yeah, that was fun as well.
Very cool. Now, OC as well, we got to talk about getting to put the Kerapac fight in a Colosseum is pretty cool, is it not? Did you demand that, or was that presented as a...
No, I mean, like,
what you get?
A really, really important thing to remember with an update like this is, yes, we as the devs are often the front face value, right? Everyone will come through and say, oh, thank you, Luma, Ramen, but there's such a massive driving force behind an update like this. You've got animators, you've got art, you've got environment producers, localization, QA, concept, right? So we all do get together at the start, and we talk about it, and we're like, it's just an idea sparks. Maybe you look at Taraket's arena and you're like, that looks sick. Yeah, how about a Colosseum? And Zaros and the Zerosian Senntisten Empire is very, very relatable to the great Roman buildings.
Mm-hmm.
And he's Kerapac. He's got to have a big birthday cake to fight inside. Yeah, it was cool. And that's how we came up with the arena. We had sorry, Jack. Someone was saying something.
Right? And we were like, what's some really cool Roman architecture that we can use for this? We wanted the city to have these points of interest, and I think it might have been originally one of the environment artists just wanted it as a piece of background detail, and then I think you said, why don't we set the boss fight in it? Can we have the boss fight in it, please? And the environment artist went, oh god, what have we done? Okay, yeah, sure. I think that's how it went down.
All right. Well, we're about to go in. One quick thing I have to ask is, what should I be protect prayer should I have on, so I at least have a fighting chance? Ranged. Okay. All right. We'll do this. It's weird. I feel extra pressure doing it in front of you, Ramen. I'm not gonna lie. It feels like especially pressure to get it right.
He's magic.
Yeah, that's definitely magic.
Oh,
And
okay.
also,
Okay.
you need to stop carrying 45 minutes worth of overloads around with you for a single attempt.
Yeah, no, true. I know. It's just because I thought I was going to use them more for what we were doing here, so that's all good. Cool. Pray Soul Split. Have you seen my DPS? It is not high enough to pray Soul Split. I will lose fast. If you followed up my PVM journey, I've definitely come a long way, but not that far. Okay, so Kerapac, before we go in, do you kind of want to set up what was the showdown all about? Like, when you were coming to design this, right? Big moment in RuneScape kind of narrative. What was kind of first running through your head when you thought about this fight and what you were going to do?
Okay, it kind of comes with a bit of a long story.
People are here for the long stories, so do it.
And I tell this a lot, sort of in work and who I talk to, especially when it comes to Kerapac. But 10 years ago, right? 10 years ago, I dropped out of college, dropped out of school, for the non-Americans. And I remember sitting in bed and I was reading on the RuneScape forums about the dragonkin, the Marjarat, and Kerapac, right? And I was like, sick, he's cool, right? And then 10 years later, me, Jack, is sitting down and we're like, oh, who should the Jas general be? And we're like, oh, Kerapac. Awesome. Yeah, so like instantly that was the first thing that came to mind. Like, a long time ago, this dude, he's one of my favorite characters in the game, and now I'm able to do what I love the most and bring bosses to RuneScape. So like instantly off the bat, I was like pumped. We bounced around a couple of ideas. Some of the original designs and was to bring he has the needle, right? The needle is cool, manipulates time. He has the staff of Armadillo, and he's also got the mirror. Now the mirror doesn't show up in the fight, but that's because Jas confiscated it. So he's only allowed 2 toys instead of 3. But yeah, when we were originally sitting down, we had loads of different ideas. Okay, maybe we could do what he did with Anachronia, and he pulls a version of himself back through time. So you'd see the different versions of Kerapac, that we've met as we go through in Quest and played the game. But that was a little bit tight on the art budget. So we still wanted to go with the theme of time. And a traditional God Wars boss is a couple phases, a couple of attacks. Don't need to go overly complex. So it's like, okay, how do we keep that fundamental of just a few attacks, because we know that players do enough damage to the point where they can eventually skip mechanics. So as the design around that is like, okay, how about we make it repeat? So they see everything, they learn something, right? And then they can take that learning into the next phase. And then it just it all started to click into place. Things like the time clones. Yeah, let's get a solid gold Kerapac because that's cool. And then, a 3-phase fight, and it just builds in layers and layers on top of each other. When I pitched the design to the company, we do something called a sprint view, where we present designs or the content we're working on to the entire RuneScape team. And when I presented it, we presented it, it was met with a lot of that's ambitious, but also that's cool as heck. It was just cool. And then that was just that, and then it was like, okay, what if the player can manipulate time, right? What if Kerapac overcharges the needle so much that it sort of erupts and hits the player? And then that just informed and set up the entirety behind the warp time mechanic. But time, you can do so much of time. Like, I did definitely sit there and listen to Cher's, if you could turn back time, over and over. Yeah.
I don't think anyone would have put money that was an inspirational song behind.
Well, I also like everyone was like, do the time warp, and I'm like, what the heck is that song? And then obviously as soon as you listen to that, it becomes addictive.
Yeah.
Just rolls in the back of your head. It's just like, oh no, why are they doing this to me? I mean, on Kerapac as well, like, it's not just my design, right? It's massively informed by playtesting. We had playtests every week where people are able to say, input here, maybe this is a bit too harsh. What happens if you take a completely new spin on this mechanic? And fortunately, we were given the time from production to really go in deep and tweak things.
And also, Jack, I love that we added this kind of second cinematic almost. So you get one, obviously, when you come to Senntisten, and then this. Anything you want to say on this, just before we get going?
This was entirely Ramen. This wasn't me. I wanted the slideshow. I wanted the slideshow cinematic, and he was like, "I want to do an in-game cutscene as well. I want to do an in-game cutscene." I was like, "Yeah, if you've got time for it, okay, knock yourself out." So yeah, this was all Ramen.
This is it. Like, it goes back to sort of what. A big thing that Luma and I discussed a lot throughout this project, and she's done a fantastic job herself, is world building, right? We are asked to, okay, we would like you to make some Slayer creatures and a boss, and like, it's not enough for a player to really get engaged and involved in, and then you just add, okay, here's a character here, or you've got to find this feather and return it here for an achievement. What if players have never, done the previous quests and actually seen the scale of this elder god, right? And then for a player who is a PVMer and sometimes just skips over lore and doesn't really do quests, we're able to sort of give them a little bit of a catch up on the story, what's the like, and you look at the way this shot is framed, right? The sheer size of Jas compared to the minute size of Kerapac, and you know, you shouldn't have done that, but an achievement through the Eye of the Needle. But yeah, it's just world building. It's really adding an extra layer of depth to the storytelling we want to tell with this. Like, this is one of the biggest sagas we've done, and there's so much more to come.
Right, I think, are we doing, did I see Spear, we're doing a duo kill to start with?
Whatever you want to go. I thought you wanted to go in blind first. And
I don't mind. I think we're in a group, aren't we?
I put us in a group to stop other people inviting you to a group. While you're in the middle of the fight and anything will popping up in the middle of the screen. So,
I mean, I don't mind. We can do 2-player. I mean, what I'd love to do is hopefully get through it so Raman can at least commentate the first 3 phases we're going to take on, because we're not going to go straight into hell mode. But I think it'd be a great chance for Raman to just kind of talk through as we play. So let's do a 2 and then we can do a 1 and everyone can laugh at me.
Alright,
okay, let's start. I'll start the instance and then I'll put it back
I'll
on
join you.
slower speed just in case. Right, come on in.
I'm it.
Alright, so once we initiate this fight, Raman, do you want to kind of give us a commentary on each of the phases as we're going and kind of talk through us what's happening? Feel free to make comments, all of you, Luma, Jack, Raman, you're all welcome to make critiques and comments.
Don't run forward to. So if you bring the camera down, then run. You're dead.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's begun. But yeah, like something that it was really successful, and I really liked from Raksha is you're able to enter the instance, and the instance doesn't instantly start. You're able to see the boss in situ, and you know, when you angle the camera down, you get to see this beautiful, beautiful environment, right? The way the lighting comes through that sort of crack in the side, and then you've got Kerapac. Something that is really, really important, and I don't think is shouted about or appreciated enough, is the use of color in environments. Like, everything has to be bang on. Like, the emissive of the armored or staff like really stands out against the lighting of the entire environment. So much thought and time and detail goes into this. And the environment artist did an absolutely incredible job, along with the character artists and the animators. But yeah, we wanted to make sure everything had its place, everything felt right, and nothing sort of felt alien. Like, so you can see, especially like, imagine we didn't have. Imagine these were purple, right? They'd blend in too much. I'm saying right a lot. They'd blend in too much to the environment, right?
Yeah.
So, and then we also wanted to represent, okay, how are we going to represent time, right? And the needle has a lot of its color schemes in the past has been very much blues from, you know, Gale, and the way when we first introduced the needle. Forgive me, what race was it, Jack, that originally used it? Who's Gale? I can't remember.
Gale, you mean?
I don't know if it's canon or not.
She's just like, oh, you mean in Idle Adventures, or you mean?
Yeah.
I died.
Idle Adventures isn't canon anymore.
Right. Yeah.
But
so yeah, we had
Gale was effectively human.
Ah, right. So yeah, like we have color schemes that are very specific to certain things. Like the Staff of Armador is very green, so it makes sense that it fires out green lightning. You get to see that sort of lightning in a blue state when, spoilers, Sliske oofs someone big.
Spoilers.
And then, so it's making sure like we're setting up, everything has its place, everything makes sense, and you can see like, yeah, the green and then the golds to represent time. So instantly, at a glance, the player is like, right, I know that is something from a previous phase because it's gold, and I know that is something that is related to the Staff of Armador because it's green. In terms of mechanics, when he slams the staff into the ground, like the original design for that was, okay, what happens if all of the Colosseum is rocks, right? So you're sunken in rather than elevated.
I understand what needs to do.
So he would smash against the wall, and you'd see the wall at the back crumble. You'll panic. I see you're panicking.
Oh no, I didn't know what to do when I ran out of surge or whatever. That's what I didn't know what to do.
So
I got it now. I need to anticipate or something, right?
Yeah, just anticipate and then run. It'll be fine. So I've lost my train of thought. I just
Sorry, yeah.
Yep.
I'm going in blind, so. Oh god!
See,
Wow!
I mean,
I just got nuked entering the arena
not
again.
the right time to enter. Good God,
I
I'm
can't
gonna
even see the
get
lightning.
killed as well at this rate, actually.
He is rejoining. But
I'm just slow.
Completely.
It's coming with my protections. I've died 3 times now, I think, in this one fight.
This is where Spear gets the pet.
Oh,
yeah,
I
the
deserve it.
mechanics.
No, I'll get it. I'll get it after my terrible.
Yeah, you will
performance.
actually.
We know what's going to happen
Zero
here.
kill book, won't it? 0 kill book V2. Oh, I'll be so mad.
It'll be something insane. It'll be something insane. Oh, I did so much, chat. Oh, I'm such a pro. Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Please tell me you got nothing, or I will be so mad.
I got carried. Is what happened. Where are the drops come here? I got stone spirits. There you go. That's more like it.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's more like it.
Yeah, there you
I
go.
got
There you go. I didn't get anything crazy this time, so I'll take the blue chance though. Cool. All right, we can do another one now that I get it. So yeah, you lost train of thought, but because I was doing terribly. But we're talking about mechanically what happens in each of the phases. So we'll go back through. I definitely understand. I need to anticipate now. So.
All the mechanics were actually designed thematically different. Like when he slams the staff into the ground, it sends out the lightning. That was originally going to be rocks. Like he'd like smash a wall and then he'd sort of siphon the rocks back in and send them outwards. The lightning strikes that came across, they were originally artillery strikes from the Nodon cannons outside. So he would be like rain, fire, and then but that animation was very flashy, so obviously in an effort to make everything as accessible as possible, which is extremely important in video games. You want accessibility. We changed it to lightning strikes, which then would perfectly fit into a bit more thematic. Yes, it was kind of a shame to intertwine Luma's awesome siege cannons into the fight, but the lightning strikes made a little bit more thematic sense and fixed the problem we were having. So we did that, and then what's the other mechanic? Jumping slam didn't change. That was awesome. When we originally did, so the jumping slam was actually inspired by Telos. Telos has a cool attack where he's like, "Give me power" or something. But we learn from boss to boss, right? This one, Telos doesn't have a really good telegraphing for that. Often players are looking for parts of the environment or the game that maybe the bar above the head disappears, and that's when you time your surge. With Kerapac, when he brings his wings together, that's the animation telegraphing we want you to sort of lock into and go, okay, that's when I need to surge. A lot of you'll see it and make sure you sort of bring your camera out to sort of witness it. But telegraphing animations is extremely important, and something we wanted to do. Yes.
I'm really looking forward to learning this, though. I mean, I did horrendously on my first run with no looking at it before. I mean, I'd seen it demonstrate in sprint reviews and thought it looked awesome, but mechanically I wasn't particularly taking notice of what I was going to face, so I wanted to go in blind. If anyone joins me on PVM, I drive everyone nuts by doing that, but it's how I do things. So
it's the way to do it. Going in blind is part of the learning experience for anything PVM. Is much the journey of doing something, right? If you just read a guide and then you just do it, you kind of lose a little bit of that triumph when you first
draw him towards me, by the way, Spear.
Why don't you just move over here?
Because I've got my death
Oh, sorry. Didn't
largely
notice
part of
that.
the reason why Solak didn't go live with tactics, because that's such a mechanically complex flight that world first races are awesome when you have something that difficult. Players feel good once they overcome a mechanic, right, and they progress further and further into the fight, and then they get slapped by something else. But then they learn that mechanic, and that's an important journey to take. So,
well, I mean, I think in general, PVM, it's like you have to be willing, especially if you're on camera, to feel a bit silly and do some stupid things, and even when you know what you're doing, kind of get it wrong, in order to finally get it right, right? So, like, look there, like I'm gonna die here because I completely miscalled that surge, but I know, like, similar to when I was doing Nex and I was learning everything with Nex, that like eventually I'll just read it properly and I'll react properly and it becomes second nature. But it takes a while, right? Like, it's a hard startup journey, but once you get on the train, it's like kind of addictive. I've been having a lot of fun kind of learning, and I say getting better. I accidentally took 3 uploads or whatever.
Molly, what was your...
it's not quest locked, by the way, Prosperi.
Molly, what was your experience with learning Kerapac?
I'm not the most high-end PVMer, so for me it was very difficult. But because it's trio, I'm hoping today, later on, I'll kind of go and get carried by some people, but also kind of learn a bit more as I go.
Well, yeah, I mean, what's important about that as well is, like, getting all walks of life to come in and try something out. Like, Molly, you know, she had said herself, like, she's not the greatest PVMer, but, like, when you're thinking about the level banding that this is aimed at, her feedback was massively valuable toward getting this, because we, you know, internally, you know, myself, Mod Ryan, Sponge, Mod, I don't know his mod name, but we do a lot of Solak, so and Raksha, and our brains are wired to pump out as much DPS as possible. So getting in, newbie people to playtest and give their thoughts or their opinions across was mad useful for getting this to where it was.
Just trying to get to saying, I forgot I didn't take a familiar in, so I'm gonna die. Completely forgot I don't have a familiar. I'm used to having a ring of death. It's 3 death weeks, so I don't have it. I've just got Sarah Brews. Yeah, I don't have my Sarah Brews on there. Ha! I was trying to get back in as quickly as I could. Thanks for carrying, Spear.
You are
actually one of the...
It's because you have
it's actually interesting.
That here.
I know. You know what's interesting is actually mechanically, it's actually proving to be one of the, like, I think whenever we've done our PVM series, actually, like, jumping in hasn't been too bad, but this has actually been one of the harsher jump-ins, I think.
The other difference is that normally me or the RS guy or someone who knows what they're doing is telling you what to do. This is new. I don't know what I'm doing, and you guys are talking. I'm trying not to just sit going, dodge, you idiot, dodge.
Yeah, it's not the most comfortable environment, but, like, you know, that's it. You're slowly getting...
I'm slowly, you know, I'm starting to get, at the end of the day, like, I'm not, as much as I'm dying loads, I'm actually starting to learn how to dodge some of the mechanics. I'm just not executing on it, right? So, I just need everything to appear.
Yeah, I also went into this blind.
Did I accident? Okay.
Yeah, but I also went into this blind this morning, and having not looked at or watched anyone else do it, as soon as it came out, I jumped in. I wasn't involved in any of the dev stuff. I've actually really enjoyed learning this, sort of just by doing rather than by, like, sitting there and trying to read through the wiki and understand everything. I was on normal mode at least been able to jump in and sort of figure it out as I've gone, and it's been
great. Are
you
fighting or did you finish?
No, I finished. I came back out. I've just picked up more stuff.
Sorry,
I should have really waited for you to get back in before I killed it, but I was sort of on autopilot.
I didn't realise there was any drops or anything. I thought you were still fighting, and I just thought I got nothing. Load into the wrong thing.
A couple of cool extra things. Molly, do you want to talk a little bit about the boss pet skins? First boss pet skins.
Yeah, first boss pet skin. 1000 kills in hard mode. I'm not sure if the skin is actually revealed or if it's
revealed. I double checked again to show it's in there.
Yeah, so you get a little gold carry, and yeah, it's really, really cool to have that extra achievement to work towards once you've got the pet. And yeah, first boss pet.
It looks so good too.
Yeah,
so good.
yeah, very cute.
Those are the kind of, you know, when you see that at PVM Hub or Elf City, wherever your choice of bank is, when you see that, you're like, wow, like, fair play to them. It's one of those prestigious pets, which is cool. Those are the kind of things, like, we've done a lot of titles, we've done a lot of overrides, the defeater outfit in 2014, and we can start to show off players prestigious things in new, better ways, and that was one of the more technical things that Luma managed to sort of pull off in this project. So hopefully in the future we get to see more boss pet skins. Cool.
So obviously we were talking about the mechanics, and obviously now we have the. So I need to watch for the. So this is the lightning, obviously. So I just need to stand out of the way of the path of it.
And also ideally not make it go across the entire arena. But yeah.
Oh, is it target based? Is it actually? I thought it was just random. I didn't realize it actually tracks.
It goes so it's wherever you're standing when he does it is where it's going to fire the line, and then each time he comes back and does it again, it does it. Or I need to dodge here and not talk.
I did the same thing.
Every time he does it again afterwards, it keeps repeating that. So you kind of don't want to dump it across the middle of the room if you can. You kind of want to put it towards an edge or something that can be easier for people to avoid. Oh my god! Ow!
You probably want to pray melee.
Early surge. I meant to switch. So, okay. So when you have 4 of them going, it is intense as well. Like that is hella intense. So I'm gonna go in with minimal food. That slam is definitely tough. So the ring actually will stop you getting stunned by that, right? Which is, I mean,
so
for someone like me, is a hell of an upgrade.
You'll still take damage, and if you remain in the same place, you'll still get pinned, and that damage will tick up on you. But like for you, obviously, it seems like if you fully charge the ring, that would make it a little bit easier for you. And then
to be fair, I want to not be terrible at that mechanic though. So I mean, I've got plenty of time to learn it.
You can learn it, but then if you fail it, the ring sort of deflates that level of punishment, and then you'll eventually crack it, and then don't
God, I'm so gonna die.
Yeah, me too.
But this is
so
cool.
bad at dodging this.
It's so cool to see. And then once players start to fold in the warp time mechanic, it just becomes awesome.
Yeah, and the warp time mechanic, does that free you from the stun, out of interest?
It doesn't. Well, if you time it to the point where it moves you back to your original coordinates. Yes.
Okay, cool. So that's another tool in your toolbox, basically.
Yeah, you can use warp time to pretty much get around
that's
every mechanic. It's just dependent on when you want to utilize it.
Whoa.
Oh, hell, I'm down.
Yeah, there's a little bit of so our client can only render a certain amount of NPCs at a time. So I'll have a look at finding a way to fix that.
Hurry back, by the way. I'll need it.
Yeah, try not to die. I'll be there in a sec. I'm not going to worry about. Actually, we'll get adrenaline. Why not? It's fine.
So yeah, there's a lot of mechanics in this. It's so awesome. Like honestly, like as someone who's like really kind of getting into bossing and learning. Oh, enraged. Oh.
I'm here. You good?
I don't think I was alive for this. Yeah. I don't think I was alive for this bit. So I'm gonna be down to just Sarah Brews in a second. By the way.
That's alright. You literally just kill him at this point for us.
Yeah, it's just a DPS race or whatever. So yeah, it's just basically like for me, it's very much learning the slam mechanic. That's definitely the hardest part of the normal mode fight for sure. So. Oh. Whoa. Anything else you want to say on the fight, by the way? Now that we've showed it a few times and gone through it a few times.
I want to reiterate that it's a massive team effort. So many people have voices and input and helped sort of inform a lot of design decisions. So credit to them. I can't unfortunately shout everyone out because there were so many people, but yeah, I'm super happy with it. Super happy with where it's sitting. We'll continue to monitor, watch streams into the night, and then we'll make tweaks where necessary, but no need to make any knee-jerk reactions so quickly.
Awesome. I apparently lost a Jas manuscript drop under the soul runes.
That's where you area loot.
On my second KC, wouldn't it be in my chat logs? Wouldn't it?
In your kill log.
No, because yours says, "Oh dear, you are dead too much." It's gone off.
To be fair, there's a lot of dead dialogue. So, what you're saying? It would be in my drop log, wouldn't it? Let's go have a look, shall we? It's under adventures, isn't it? Beasts. If so, I'm going to be very sad, but also hilarious that I got one at 2kc. No, I didn't. I got trolled. Or is it only if you pick it up? No, thank God. Thank God for that.
Yeah, I
Is there
mean the
anything
pages
for that?
don't. I don't think the pages.
Oh, it's saying
are
pages. Sorry, I
they're
thought
not
you were saying
long,
the book. Sorry.
No,
Cool.
I'd freak out if you got the book.
Yeah. So, like, any questions, chat? Obviously, we're running a little over because we wanted to do a big show and show you everything in it. Not so great from my perspective, but Spear did an amazing job. Any questions, chat, about the content, the Nodon Front, Kerapac as a boss, anything like that? Sparrowlean's asking, would you guys ever consider adding a colorblind mode?
Is that an overall question for RuneScape?
I think it might be in relation to the lightning, etc. Am I wrong on that, Sparrowlina? So it might not be for this chat, but we can ask other team members as well. Sawoni's asking, just to confirm, there's an increased drop rate if you're on Slayer task for all the various good things you want from the Slayer mobs. Is that true?
Specifically, there's a higher spawn rate for the elite mob, who does have an increased drop rate, and the elite mob is spawned from the engineer only. So let's get that clarified. Not from all the mobs, just the engineer.
There's some people asking about how rare is the dragonkin journal achievement.
I won't give exact rates, but it's fairly rare.
Is there anything that sort of helps us along with that?
Yes, you can use Lawhand. Lawhand will give a bit of a boost.
Awesome.
Yes,
Yes, the staff pieces drop in order. They didn't for the longest time, but I was like, Iron Man will just go ballistic, so may as well make it nice for them.
Some questions from some people about the lightning mechanic. Some players saying they feel like it's hitting wider than intended. Is that something we have anything to say on today?
Yeah, so it looks like you can sort of go through. It looks like I don't know if you know it, but QED firewall has gaps. It's not the case that the entirety is a line, and if you get hit by that line, you get hit damage. Can take a look at seeing if we can make that any better, or make the sort of lightning thicker or more representative of the hitbox that is actually there.
And Cody Novus asking, can we get a Resident Armor check charges option for the Shadow Pontifex ring?
Yes.
I'm just looking through some things here. Is the hard mode drop table literally the same except for the Staff of Armadil pieces, or are normal drops changed or boosted in any way too?
Normal drops are boosted. I think something that was important, sort of touching on drop table stuff. We know, stone spirits are somewhat of a meme. So Luma, myself, Jack, we sat down early on and we were like, okay, what do they want? A lot of people were like, you've introduced new spells that require soul runes, so we put soul runes on Hydrix bolts. Obviously, they're quite expensive at the moment, so a nice thing to do is to start to seed them and drop them into our loot table. So the awesome dragonkin Slayer creatures drop a lot of Hydrix, and so does increased farm mode.
Cool. End user gamer agreements asking, is this the Elder God Wars update or just a precursor? I'll quickly run through that. In case you haven't caught all the news, the Elder God Wars is something that's going to evolve over 4 fronts over the coming months. We're not saying exactly how quickly that will be, but this is a this year update, just to be clear on what we mean when we say over the coming months. So you're not going to be waiting too long based on where we are in the year. And each front, what we're looking to do is build the dungeon, that traditional 4 armies, 4 generals experience, but in a new way that's focused on variety and kind of giving you this really rich experience for each of the fronts. And so you've seen that today with the Nodon Front, which I think safe to say Rama is probably, and Luma is a bit more of a traditional God Wars dungeon experience, but then taken up to 11, really, in terms of theme. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I'd agree. We looked at the original 2 and what the friction, what the pain points, and like KC. It's like, what does adding kill count really add for us?
Yeah.
Rather than just a frustrating barrier to entry. So it's like, okay, do away with it. Like, players who want to kill the boss should be able to kill the boss. Players who want to soak up the Slayer creatures should be able to kill the Slayer creatures, but also in really interesting ways.
Yeah, cool. And so that's the theme of this one. And then, there's themes for all of them. You'll see what they are. We don't talk about things until we're ready to talk about them, but we'll have plenty to say about these fronts as they come up. This is just the first part of the 4 parts that make up the dungeon, so there's plenty more to come. Ruby's asking, when can we start seeing hints of what's to come in the next front and who it involves? I will say, without going too far, obviously, it's gonna be at least a little while, right? Like we've talked about the fact that this is over the coming months, within the year. We're not talking ages, but you're not probably going to hear anything just for a little bit while we focus on the Nodon Front. Everyone enjoys the Nodon Front. We have some other updates between our next major update, but what kind of cadence we look for. You can take some insinuations to that, but this is something where we're making sure to get this right and announcing release dates when we know we're good to go and the content's in a really awesome place. So, stand by, it will come. You're not going to wait too long, but it's just one of those things where we're just going to make sure we talk about everything at the right time. Average Gamma 1 is asking, can you trade the die staff?
Oversight, completely my fault. There was a copy and paste error on my side. You can at the moment, but we'll be removing them from the Grand Exchange and turning them back to untradeable as expected. For anyone who does happen to die a staff and bang out on the GE, you probably won't. But yeah, I mean, it's not really harm. You're essentially buying a cheaper die, a cheaper item with a die which you're not essentially paying for. No one's going to sell it. No one's popping that thing into the GE, so I wouldn't worry about it.
Next is asking, does Kerapac count as a Nodon dragonkin for Slayer tasks? If you don't know off the top of your head, it's an answer we can get back.
No, it's
He does.
Molly's answer.
Yeah. We know he's a dactyl, but yes, he does.
Awesome. Anything else you want to cover? I know we're over time as well, but is there anything else you want to talk about?
Not me.
Right.
I want to whiz off so I can go kill some Kerapac.
Yeah, honestly, I just want to learn Kerapac solo now. I didn't expect in duos to die like that, so now I'm super excited to get in on it because I need to go kill a bunch of Kerapac and see if I can get a good drop. But yeah, I guess with that said, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, Luma, for your first ever stream. Loads of people loving the chat for you and all the answers you gave, so thanks so much for joining us. Jack, I know we were rabbiting on with you, but thank you so much for talking a little story and giving the lore fans their usual insights. And then obviously Ramen, thanks again for following up from your introduction to the Nodon Front video with even more information and insight for people. And to all of you, and Spear, thanks for carrying me. To all of you out there,
I'm also here.
Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. We hope you enjoyed a little bit of insight. Get out there, go take on some Slayer tasks with the Dragonkin, and hey, even if you haven't done it before, even if you're like me and you're gonna die a bunch, go take on Kerapac. There's a practice mode for a reason. Jump in. You can do it. I believe in you.
It's free
death.
death.
And free deaths as well. So the whole week's a practice mode.
Yeah.
So until then, thank you very much for watching. We won't be back next week with any live streams. Just a heads up on that, actually. We will not be back on next week for any live streams. We're having a week off at Jagex. It's not a week off. We are all working. But we're having no update next week, no streams next week, to give the team some time to do some really awesome stuff and focus on things that aren't just the weekly releases a little bit more. So unfortunately, we won't be seeing you for a while, but we'll be back in a couple of weeks with even more to share. We'll be back with game updates too. So until then, take care, see you soon, and I guess we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Ta-ra.